Welcome to the VMJPod's Employer Brand Series. I'm David Macciocca, and this time I'm joined by co-host Will Innes. Together, we'll dive into the strategies and stories emerging from Brisbane, with lessons that help you build credibility, scale impact, and deliver results.
Oh, welcome to the VMJPod, where we are deep diving in employer brand. Yes. That's what this series is all about. I'm David Macciocca.
I'm Will Innes, and you are?
Hi, I'm Kat Pahwa, the employer branding lead for Mars Australia.
We are so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
It's good.
It's very fun.
So we've got a fascinating topic today.
We do. We've got a great topic. I'm really interested to get into this. Yes. So this is looking at the fact that you work 3 days a week in a really high-profile role. What I think is really high-profile is managing the employer brand at a really prestigious, large organisation. I think there's lots of folks in Australia specifically that are going to find this really interesting. So thanks for sharing that with us today. Do you want to sort of set the scene, set the context, and maybe how this came to pass?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been with Mars Australia for about 7 years, coming up to 7 years. And compared to other people in the organisation, that's not a long time because the tenure at Mars can sometimes be 20 plus years.
Is that true?
It is.
Well, that's good.
It's absolutely
Must be doing
unbelievable.
Something right over at Mars.
Doing lots of things.
We are. So, when it comes to, supporting or selling our employer brand, that's one of our main sources is 20 years of tenure, and the tenure can just go on and on. So 7 years at Mars, and I started off my journey in project work, and then I jumped to talent acquisition. I was a recruiter. I shouldn't say recruiter, I should say a talent acquisition partner. We know that's much more prestigious. And then I was really lucky enough actually to jump into an employer branding role based on the fact that I was taking on a lot of projects within recruitment marketing. And I have a little bit of a marketing background. So that sort of led me to my journey.
That's such a good, we're hearing that
story.
A bit, aren't we? How good recruiters, not necessarily with marketing background, but they see the opportunity. See the opportunity. And what led you to see the opportunity to dip your toe into the world of employer brand?
I think it was the passion. So I have a big passion for advertising, marketing, content and branding, basically. So even in my days before I started at Mars or whatever else, I would do something silly like promo work. So I'd go out and I need some money when I was at university. So let's go do some promotional work. So I'd hand out packets of hummus on the side of the street to people, or I'd dress myself up in a lion's costume and be the mascot and hand out the flyers and really be
You're that person.
embedded. I was that person.
I thought I saw you somewhere.
Yes.
And it was the lion outfit.
That was me on the field, yes. So I feel that I'm really passionate about branding. So I guess that's what it comes down to is passion.
I love that. That's so good. And how has that helped you in your role as an employer brander?
I think it helps with the sell, I guess, or you would say the sell or the transition or, marketing it out. Also helps with stakeholders and sort of getting them on board and collaboration. Because if you've got to know your stuff, but if you're passionate and you've got the energy, they're going to really lean into you and really want to hear from you and really trust you, I think, as well as all the other aspects that you have. But I think it does come down to that passion and energy and being who you are.
I think you could sell me a project internally, and I'd probably say yes. So then you're working on all these incredible things as a lead employer brander at Mars. I can imagine it's hard to say no.
It is hard to say no. So that really comes down to, being a part-time employee or associate, as we call ourselves at Mars. It comes down to choosing your projects well and being impactful with your work. And I sort of look at it like, what can we move the needle on now in the short-term space? Based on, my work availability and working those hours and the business's needs and strategic goals. So it really comes down to choosing it well and being authentic to the market.
Have you felt there's more of a need to get other people to do a bit of your role?
No, do you know what? I could say yes. But I think this year in particular, it's not so much getting them to do my role. It's getting buy-in from stakeholders where they want to come in and join on the projects.
Cool. Let's talk about that. That's actually what I meant.
Yeah,
by the way.
great.
I'm glad that you picked me up and refined the way I
Gotcha.
asked that question, because I think that's really important, because you can't do everything, can you?
No.
3 days a week.
No.
There's so much to unpack. So how do you activate people internally to contribute to your employee brand?
Yeah, good question. It's about setting up the project and setting it up early. So planning and prioritizing even before the project comes on board, and getting people on board the journey from way before it starts. So collaborating with people internally to say, do you want to be a part of this project? It might be something that you've never done, but we're really looking for advocacy behind a particular campaign. So jump on and tell us your story, and really go behind this. We're going to go behind the scenes of what you love about Mars and your story and how we embed that. And I am shocked. So, for example, this year we did one particular campaign, and we've had about 50 people from Mars across all the different locations come and say, I'll do it. I'll put my hand up and be behind the scenes and
for
be
the
filmed.
love, or because
For
you're
the
giving them something?
No, we gave them nothing. Can you believe that? I didn't even give them a free coffee or anything.
Oh, wow. It's a low bar.
I know, low bar.
That's great. Amazing. So what's in it for them, and what's the main reasons that people get stuck in so sort of readily, do you think?
Yeah, it's the love for working for an organisation that backs you and supports you.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mars is big on people. It's a people-first organisation, and as I said before, it's the tenure. So you're going to go for volunteers who have that tenure and who have that passion and the love for working at Mars, and that comes through when they sell their story and they talk about their key points. Yeah.
See, I've worked for. It's a small step back, but a bit of extra perspective that I'd like to just dig into a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've worked with. I don't think I've ever worked with Mars. Maybe I haven't, but I've worked with FMCG organisations, and ones that are very marketing savvy. You know, and I think that there's pros to that, and maybe some cons as well. I.e., they understand target audiences. They understand the language. How do you think being a very consumer-led and product-focused organisation has helped the notion of having an employer brand?
Yeah.
Has there been anything that's also sort of slightly not counted against you, but being almost more challenging because it's a business that knows marketing?
Yeah, again, a really good question, because this is something that I faced the other week, actually. We are a international billion-dollar business that is so well known for their brands, all their different brands. But how do we differentiate ourselves from our corporate brand versus our employer brand? So that is something that we often have struggled with. So when you say Mars, you think, oh, the chocolate company. Right? So you think, oh, it's a chocolate company. But it's not actually a chocolate company. We are so many different sectors. So diverse. We've got pet nutrition and we've got food nutrition as well as those two of our biggest segments. And sometimes they get forgotten about as well. So it's really about utilising the brands where we can, but then bringing in our people behind and sharing those stories behind the brands. So we might do a campaign or with some content with some associates in the office, for example, with our brands behind them. So they can help. They can definitely help. But it's really what we're going to value, what we value as an employee and what they value. So I think that's something that can be blurred sometimes, because we've got a really good reputation in the market for our company reputation, and our employee reputation is building, and we do have a very good employer reputation, but we're still working, with every day we're working on something new.
Every day working on something new. Well, how do you balance that? Just doing it in 3 days a week. What's some advice you can give people either considering taking a step from full time back for one reason or another? It could be that they're about to enter back into the workforce from having children, and there's so much to unpack. But how do you balance that? It's
exactly in the word balance. It's looking at what's the strategic focus. So what's our priority now and what's our priority later. So it's often based on the planning. So whether you want to do 80% planning, 20% execution, or the other way, 20% execution and 80% planning. So for me in this part-time role, it's more about delivering the results, and the planning comes into place as well, obviously throughout the year, but it's being very deliberate on the planning phase and then really on the execution mode on those particular projects that really need to be done very quickly and get out there.
So what's a typical week look like for you then?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I need a camera and a day in the life of.
There's a few cameras around.
A day in the life of. Let's go. Come with me. So good question. So I work from home on days. So I'm very lucky. Sometimes I'm in the office, so I fly to Melbourne. So I work from Brisbane, and the head office is in Melbourne. So a day will be starting with a meeting in the morning, a weekly team meeting, connecting with the talent acquisition team to find out their priorities, what's going on with them, if they need support with their recruitment marketing, how we can step into play.
Are you accountable for both the employer brand and recruitment marketing?
Correct.
Is it a dual role? Okay.
Yeah, so it's a dual role. Again, which is a bit of a challenge within 3 days, but the main responsibility is that employer brand piece. So it's really my day would look, or my week would look like looking at the particular projects that I have and focusing on that piece of execution, and a lot of meetings, I would say.
A lot of meetings.
You know what it's like, virtual meetings, as well as doing that, but also balance, right? So I've got two young children. So for me, that also looks like I need to have a hard stop at 4:00 to go to kindergarten and preschool and collect my children, to go to the other daycare to collect my child. So I'm very, very fortunate enough to be in a role where it has that flexibility, and I am with an organisation that supports that. And I do think that being in an employer branding role, when you do have that flexibility, it goes back to, again, I'm passionate because my organisation gives me that flexibility.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. I was going to ask how maybe it had changed your view on things like employer branding, or whether it's in your organisation or another, whether that had changed your view of what matters to employees, or even just having greater empathy, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, it does. I think I've slowed down a lot more, not in terms of my work speed, the way I do things, but I have a lot more compassion and empathy towards other people within the organisation. So I want to understand their journey and their stories, and I really want to over-communicate. I feel that I over-communicate, or I'm over-detailed, because being a parent, I feel like that's what you have to be. So I feel like there's a lot more empathy and resilience behind it.
And how are you switching off?
I don't think I switch off. Well, if you think about it as well, because you're in this field, you're doing the work, and then you're going home, and yourself, being a parent, you're going and then doing another job. But then in the evening, I'm on TikTok and I'm on the social media, and I'm looking at like, oh, that's a good campaign, or that's good content, or could we do this, or could we do that? So I don't think there's an off button yet.
Do you have to? Because I would imagine that you have things happening on social media as part of your recruitment and marketing. So I was thinking, how much kind of like governance and safety nets do you have? So if you're off on a Thursday, for example,
yes,
and something blew up on social media,
yes,
would you have to get called back in, or do you have processes that can work completely independently of you in that juggle? Yeah,
good. We've got a fantastic corporate affairs, so internal, I don't know what you call it externally elsewhere, but it's corporate affairs within Mars. Yeah, would it be a corporate affairs? Yeah, great.
Certainly in larger organisations, that's common.
Yeah. So, and they are very good, and they manage all the different segments as well. So whatever sort of comes up on social media, they flag with me, or I flag back with them. So I do keep my eye on the days that I don't work. Yeah, I do, definitely, because I am responsible for that piece of content. But I have, we have the support, and we have the collaboration working with those particular stakeholders, which are fantastic, that they just step in where need be.
This episode is brought to you by Video My Job, introducing the fastest way to turn employee stories into multi-channel content. One video now instantly becomes branded blogs, quote cards, social posts, and more, all perfectly formatted for the channels you use to attract and engage talent. And the best part? Zero editing required. Record once, repurpose everywhere. Book your demo at videomyjob.com and experience the new era of employee content creation.
And what's your relationship like with your manager? How are you communicating projects, continually fueling that trust that you probably have with, and any advice that you would give people who are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's about over communicating again, as I said before. I think it's about those touch points in with your manager and ensuring that you're on the same page as them, and particularly on the days that you're off, they're clear on where you're at, because sometimes it can get quite lost in those 2 days. A lot can happen in 2 days when you're not at work. So I think it's always about communicating. And for me, in my role, I've learnt that one person may not be necessarily really good at that plan, and this person may be good at this plan. So it's coming to the table and working together to ensure that you have that same sort of ways of working. I guess it's figuring out ways of working with your particular manager to ensure that you're aligned with them.
See, one of the things that I've noticed of people that tend to find more success in employer branding roles is one of the sort of not secret ingredients. One of the ingredients is having the relationships internally. Because you want to do storytelling from all these different departments, and you need to know how to find the right people and the right information. Whereas in a certain function, maybe you could be a bit more protected from that. But employer branding, it really helps to be well connected across the organisation.
Yes.
So I just wondered, from an employer branding role on less days per week,
yes,
are there any tips you'd give someone to help counteract that? Or do you think maybe it's easier for people once you've been in a business for a few years? Do you see where I'm sort of getting at?
Yeah.
There? I'm not being very clear. But
no,
something about that.
I get that, and that's exactly right. It's setting up those relationships earlier on.
Yeah,
and establishing those particular groups. So for me personally, and what I would recommend is to have regular check-ins with particular stakeholders that are going to help influence your journey.
Yeah.
Don't miss that opportunity to do that. And hey, I will put my hand up and say I have made that mistake, and I have learnt from that, and now I'm in a really good place where I have those relationships and I am ensuring that those stakeholders are brought on the journey. So I think it's essential to build your relationships early, bring your stakeholders on the journey, and regularly meet with them and ensure that they're on board. They're aligned.
Even though you're doing 3 days a week, do you feel like you're just giving 3 days of your contribution? Do you feel like you're more impactful?
I feel like I said before, I feel like I'm always on. So I'm strategic with what I'm doing. So
is that one of the downfalls of being 3 days a week?
It
By
is.
default, you're always on?
Yeah, it is. It is, because you're wanting to know what's happening on the days off, and you're wanting to ensure that you're not seen as unreliable, or not you, but the projects don't. You just want to make sure that you're project managing everything that goes through all of the steps. So it is one of the downsides, I would say. But also one of the good sides is that you, like we said before, moving the needle and being more impactful on what you're doing is essentially going to shape things accordingly. Yeah.
What are some? So you've just mentioned impacts.
Yes.
So 3 days a week in a
Yes.
marketing-led organisation that I would have thought, likes results, likes successes, and all those things. What have you celebrated in the last couple of years that you've achieved in that role that you think is particularly notable or particularly impactful? What could you point to?
Yeah. So
What
I
do you
think
reflect on?
This year has been. I think with our employer branding journey, I think it's it's not a race, so I think we're slowly progressing. So, for example, this year, LinkedIn has acknowledged Mars Australia as the top 25 companies to work for career development.
Fist pump.
Yes.
That's
so
awesome.
I think
Career
that's
development. That's a good
career
one.
development.
In this market, that's
It's
helping people flourish and grow is really great. This whole environment of reskilling, upskilling, development's a really big pillar to be able to lean into.
It is. And
really exciting.
Speaking of pillar, I mean, that is essentially one of our core EVP pillars is development. So to have that organic win has really helped elevate the campaigns that we're doing moving forward. And I think given the research that we've done, we do sort of mid-year research around our brand and where we're sitting in the market, internally and externally, and then we do like an end-of-year check. And mid-year, we have seen that our results are driving upwards. And I would say organically, it's because of A, our campaigns, B, we've really done some hard work with our early talent program and campaigns that we've been running, and C, I would say that the campaigns that we're doing with that win has really pushed us up.
So what have you got your eyes on? What's happening on the horizon? Any sort of trends that you'd point at? Maybe it's channel specific or types of content or something you're aiming for within the next 12, 18 months. So what have you got your sights on?
Yeah, good question. Can't give away too much. So it's very exciting.
Clearly, no
secrets. But what I would say is there's going to be a lot more collaboration with our global markets. So we operate quite in silos. We've got our ANZ region, which with our employer brand that I'm leading. We've got our China markets and we've got our North America markets. So I think what's upcoming is going to be, you're going to see a lot more collaboration of more of a global organisation, whether that's going to be our silo campaigns or collectively, you're going to see that. Yeah, definitely.
That's a big one.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's
exciting.
Yeah, it's more sort of shifting. It's more shifting into a growth mindset and working as an ecosystem, more of a connected ecosystem. So, watch this space, and you will see.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking
Thank
to you. I really
Likewise.
appreciate you sharing your thoughts, because it is hard to manage your time 3 days a week and have such a big impact within such a global brand. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your
Thank
story.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
It's hard, but I wish I brought you some product. So I know maybe I do have product. You never know. Extra gum. Anybody want some extra or Eclipse? I have it. Thank you so
Magic.
much.
Good on you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.